What's up, everybody? How many of you, if you were ever asked a question, would you say, I don't know? Most of us are nervous when we don't have answers because it makes us look vulnerable. And that vulnerability can sometimes be a deterrent. My name is Matt with Elevating Yourself. Many people feel that vulnerability can be a weakness, but in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can use it to enhance your personal growth and actually make stronger connections. So first off, what is vulnerability? Vulnerability is the willingness to show up despite the risk of rejection or failure. I want you to understand that with vulnerability, there is a strong power within it if you utilize it correctly. Now, you might get some very strong individuals out there that will tell you, you know what, oversharing or telling people or showing this side of you is just not the right thing to do. It's going to show weakness, and weakness is going to show failure. But that's not the case. And in most instances, especially in most of us, when you show this side of you, you're actually going to have a lot more connectedness with the people around you, and you're going to show a vulnerability that will allow others to bring themselves into you and build stronger relationships. And so why does this make people feel uncomfortable? In today's society, people do not want to come off as being vulnerable because it is a sign that they may be ridiculed or weak. And in many situations, people don't want that. I mean, imagine me sitting here talking to you about a subject and I'm asked a question or I say, you know what, I'm really not sure about it. Would you continue watching it? Probably not. And so it's hard sometimes to put yourself into a situation where you can show that side of you. But I will tell you that even in situations like this, when we're talking about certain subjects, there are things that I know a lot about, and there are also things that I may not know certain things about. And so it's important that your viewers or the people that are around you know this because it allows them to be okay with the fact that they may not know something. I mean, me personally, I find more value in looking at people's shortcomings than I do at people that always seem like they have the answer, or even worse, people that try to make up the answer. And that's what I find in a lot of situations is that if you don't know the answer, there are people out there that will just make up the stuff. And that's how misinformation gets spread around, is that uncertainty and not wanting to seem like a weak individual. They will sell you some sort of answer, but it's not really the right answer. And you got to be careful of that. And the struggles that I hear from people are the things that I can connect with the most because we all struggle in some capacity. We all don't have the answers. We all can look vulnerable at times. And when we see others around us with that type of vulnerability, it actually puts us at ease, which makes us more comfortable with our surroundings. And there is a strength when it comes to vulnerability. About 2 years ago, I started a new job, and I remember going through the initial training, they were asking some questions that I had no idea about. I was completely lost, and I was looking around the room and nobody was saying anything, and I was in a room full of 50 people. I raised my hand eventually because nobody was saying anything. And I was like, look, I am completely lost. And like 20 other people started chatting in like, yeah, me too, me too, me too. And it's scary to think that. It's scary to think that there are that many people out there that were lost, but were unwilling to say that we're lost. And that's why that strength can come through, because had I not raised my hand, would anybody else had actually done something about that? And I wonder, had I not asked that question, would other people have just gone on with their day without knowing those answers? And remember, being brave doesn't mean that you have to be without fear. Being brave means that even though you are scared, you're willing to stand up for the things that you believe in. And honestly, throughout the last couple of years, I've done this on numerous occasions. I've put myself in situations where I didn't know the answer, only to find out that I was in a room full of people that didn't know the answer either and are willing to ask those questions. And I've been able to build such strong connections with people that I normally wouldn't have talked to because they're also there willing to put themselves in this vulnerable situation. So again, think about the things that you have questions on and don't sweat the people around you for not knowing the answers. You don't know the answer, and it's okay to raise your hand and say, you know what? I need some help. And for all you leaders out there, if you're not showing your own vulnerability, then you are missing out big time. I can't tell you how many times that me saying, I don't know, or I made a mistake has actually allowed me to connect with people that much better. The teams that I've built are strong because I'm willing to show that vulnerability. People need to understand that it's okay to not have all the answers. It's actually okay to make mistakes, but everybody makes those mistakes. And if you're not willing to own up to the mistakes, then it's hard for people around you to show that they have those shortcomings. And you want people to be able to do that. You want people to say, you know what, it's okay that I made a mistake, or it's okay that I don't know the answer. I'm willing to find out the answer. Because again, you don't know the answer until you do. And the only way to do that is either to research or to find the answer. And sometimes asking is a little bit easier. And that's the thing, is like, don't be afraid to ask a question because it's easy. People need to know that it's okay to make mistakes or to not have the answers. For the leaders that are out there, if they don't know that, then when they do make mistakes, they tend to potentially hide it. And you don't want that. You want that stuff to surface up so that you can address it right away. There's nothing wrong with the people around you making mistakes. And the person that can help you out with that the most is you. You can do that and you can start it right away. And look, there's going to be risks that are involved with showing this vulnerability, just like everything else. I wish I could say no, that's not going to be the case. But realistically, there are going to be people out there that just don't respond positively to vulnerability. And so you want to make sure that you're looking at the situation you're in and asking yourself, is this the right time to be vulnerable? Sometimes it is good to be vulnerable in groups of people, and sometimes it's better to be vulnerable on the side. I've had situations come up where I didn't really agree with somebody, and I knew it was going to put myself into a vulnerable situation, but in a group environment, it just wasn't the case. And so I actually pulled the individual aside so that I could talk to them more directly, and I could show and be more of my true self in that area without really bringing negative attention to myself. Because again, like, I didn't think that this was going to make me look weak, but the things that I wanted to be able to voice in as far as my concerns are going, it was better in a one-on-one situation. And so you have to be careful about that. Again, if you're met with negativity when it comes to vulnerability, the best thing I could say is handle it as gracefully as possible. I wish I could say that take emotion out of it, but being vulnerable is a very emotional state. And so it can be very hard to not be vulnerable and to show emotion in those situations. And so when you get put into a situation where somebody is attacking you or showing negative signs to that vulnerability, take as many deep breaths as possible, handle it accordingly, and then just work through it. Again, like I said, most people will be very open to this vulnerability, but if you get into a situation where it's not, don't think it's anything you're doing wrong. It could be just the situation that person's in. People are raised differently. The environment that they're brought up in can have different impacts in the way that they show vulnerability. And it's sometimes hard for people to do, which is why I want people to understand that there is a strong power in vulnerability. If you can do it and you can do it right, there are so many things that will open up for you. And I want you to see the successes that I've seen with showing vulnerability. Thanks so much for watching today. Remember, vulnerability, it's a power. It's not a weakness. Your vulnerability can really bring others in. It can be a beacon to those around you and inspire others to also show their vulnerability. And so go out there this week and really put yourself into a position where you can show that vulnerability and just see what impacts it has, both positive and negative. Again, learn from the things that you can grow from. Those are the best ways to put yourself forward and to see the most success out of it. And remember, if you hadn't had a chance, I got a couple videos linked above. Please check them out. Let me know your feedback. And remember, elevating yourself to the next level starts with a single step. Take that step today. We'll see you next time.